Welcome back to the Mustang Blueprint. I'm Riley Cramlish.
I'm Jack.
And today we're here with Jessica Hennen. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everybody. I am the Director of Creative Writing and Literature at SMSU. Obviously also an English professor, right? I am teaching right now this semester. It just wrapped. It was the last day. Senior capstone class and 2 sections of academic writing, and then also the exciting publishing for creative writers class.
Fun, exciting. So we know you do a little bit of sketch comedy. So along with being a professor, how did you get into sketch comedy?
Well, funny enough, I will be very into sketch comedy next semester. So excited. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I was trying to think about it. I saw your questions. And I think it all began because I went to the University of Minnesota Morris. I was on the improv troupe, which is like a dangerous thing for a person to be, because it makes you like overconfident. And so when our professor, Barbara Burke, was like, do you guys want to do an independent study? We were like, how hard can sketch comedy be? It was me and my group of improv dudes, and we did not know what we were doing. But we did screen the result for the entire campus, and you will never find it. It is buried very deep on the internet.
Is that because you want it to be, or
no? This is not because I want it to be.
Okay.
But I was so excited when I did eventually find it the other day, just for me. So.
Cool. And what does that process look like exactly? Like when?
Yeah. So that one was so chaotic that I do not recall because it was 2012. I do know that we wrote a bunch. Nope. 2010. I do know that we wrote a bunch of sketches the day of frantically to fill time, and that those were like kind of the best sketches. The ones that we planned very much did not work out. And honestly, that has kind of remained true for me as a sketch comedian now. So now what I do, I brought the poster, so people listening will not really get the full impact of what I'm about to do. You guys don't know who Garrison Keillor is, right?
Maybe a picture.
Oh, that's so great. I'm just glad you don't know who he is.
Okay. Okay, good. That's great then.
So this is my alter ego.
Okay.
Her name is Jessica Feeler, not Garrison Keillor. Parody law covers a lot. And we're fully not copyright infringing at all in any way. So way back when, there was a 2-hour-long show on the radio every Sunday. And it was like a live kind of sketch comedy, but also music show. And it was published by NPR and spread all over the country. So people like knew Minnesota for this show. It was called A Prairie Home Companion. So I grew up listening to it. I grew up loving it. Garrison Keillor retired. He was like, goodbye, off I go into the sunset. I've loved my life. Then a really long NPR article came out about the reign of terror he had over his employees, particularly women. And everybody was mad, and it was complicated timing. But we thought we would never hear from him again. And now he's back doing shows. And he's never apologized or taken any kind of accountability. So I started this show mostly because I loved that show so much, and we had complicated feelings about it, and we wanted to like honor that and kind of explore it. But Garrison Keillor didn't have a co-host, and I do. So this is Maddie RT, everybody, who is a non-binary comedian from Minneapolis who is out here like kind of all the time because we work together out here. So, oh yeah, and then I guess our crowning moment last July was being on the front page of the Yellow Medicine Arrow, which is a publication. So if you want to know what Garrison Keillor looks like, this is me spanking him. I did not have anything to do with this cover, which is horrific.
Interesting.
So I love it.
Nice.
Anyway.
Great.
Good. So how would you describe sketch comedy to somebody that's never heard of it before?
Okay, this is so funny. We're going to actually define it kind of first thing on in our class. But if you want my definition before that, I think it doesn't have to be filmed. A visual joke that there's some kind of moving involved and dialogue. So it's distinct from stand-up, where it's not just a single person. It involves a degree of collaboration often, but there are people who do it on their own. That's a really bad definition.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll break it down a bit more with the rest of the questions and everything.
I know it when I see it.
Okay. Is there like when you teach this class that you're going to teach, is there like a warm-up like that you have your class do, or like an icebreaker?
See, you're in uncharted territory next semester.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
but I am an improv person, and so we're
Right.
trying to work with that. So
Cool.
So we're talking about, for the listeners, we're talking about English and Com 308, which conveniently Jack and I are going to be in next semester, and Jesse and Chris Metz are going to be teaching it. So we'll be learning firsthand about sketch comedy and everything. So I wanted to give a little shout out there. But could you kind of walk us through your creative process when you're writing a sketch?
yeah. So I wanted to tell you all of that, to tell you basically like what our show is, because what I've found in writing sketch comedy, it can help to have a deadline, and it can help to have a reason, and it can help to have time restrictions. Where I have this show was our July Bryant Lake Bowl show. I'll stop moving it around so it doesn't rustle in the microphone. So this show was kind of targeted at the person I was parodying, because he was also back in town doing a show on the very same day. I just wanted him to be aware that people still remembered. So that show, which was at Bryant Lake Bowl in Minneapolis, involved, I'm going to say, like 20 actors, a musical accompanist, 2 musical accompanists, and there's some songs involved. So it started off as a straight up parody of the radio show, which is just sort of like a host coming out and being like, oh, everybody, I'm singing a little song, often with a beautiful woman at my side. And then they would go into parodies live on stage, but you would get to like read from a script is the key. So for making a show like that, I'm like, all right, I got to get this on there by July. I think we started planning in March. The musical numbers took the most rehearsal, but it usually just starts with like I have this show coming up, oh God moment. So I'm hoping to give you guys that you have to show everybody too at the end of the semester. But nuts and bolts wise, I have a notebook where I just keep sketch ideas, so I don't confuse it with other parts of my many notebooks. And then when I'm stuck, I go, oh my God, I have a show, because I've given myself a show. I go, okay, what did we think was funny? Babe, get the notes app, babe, because my husband keeps his. He's the real reason I started doing this, because his name is Miles Taylor. He's an artist. He threw a living room live stream way back in 2020, because we were like, what do we do? And then I was like, what if I did a parody of a Prairie Home Companion for the 5 people watching? And now it's this thing.
There you go.
So a lot of collaboration.
Has performing sketch comedy changed how you see storytelling or writing at all?
I think writers of fiction, which I also am, we can sit on a project forever. We really can. And a lot of my students can too. We've talked about this. And you can also see it as kind of like a thing that doesn't ever have meaning, or will never have meaning, because no one will ever see it, because it's just living on your computer. And what I love, I think, about sketch comedy is how imperfect it gives itself permission to be. Like, it has to be there. It doesn't have to be perfect. This show certainly was not. Things can go wrong and it will be ephemeral. Or, if you film it, like, you have a chance to edit it, right? But it's just comedy. We're just messing around, man. And I think it makes me a lot more productive in it and in writing in general. So,
Do you have a background in like theater or just, I guess, acting in general, or would that help with that, or
you do not have to, really.
Would you say that it would help though, or I guess you don't? I don't.
Oh, I do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, I was like a church musicals kid.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then it was, but I didn't really like serious theater as much, just because I was always cast as the old person.
No.
Unfortunate. Sorry to
Not
hear
like a
that.
tree, though, I guess.
And I like being in charge. I was like, I want to write things for people.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been a tree too. Have you been a tree ever?
No, I've been a star.
You've been a star, right?
Yes, in the church Christmas.
Literal star. Like,
Yes, no, not like the star of the show, but a star. Yes. So now we can kind of transition to you bringing comedy into the classroom. How does your background in sketch comedy influence the way you teach and how you bring your personality into the classroom?
when you're putting together like a full show like we do, you have to vary it, because if you have too many sketches that are all about psychics, and we do maybe have too many sketches about psychics, they will read as monotonous. Or when we do our filmed shows, we want it to like visually look, keep people's attention by varying it. So I think in teaching, I try to do that too, where you're not just like sitting and writing the whole time. You're not sitting and listening to a lecture the whole time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How important is it for you to like watch other shows or other comedians to like, keep generating new ideas or thoughts like that?
What I think watching a lot of sketch comedy can do for you is give you permission to be weirder or let you test the bounds of what sketch comedy could be. We have some sketches that we've made where I'm like, 4 people are going to get this. We still want to do it. And then more people usually get it than you think. And it was all kind of inspired by That Mitchell and Webb Looks, very niche sketch about the Daphne du Maurier book, Rebecca. You don't know what that is, and that's okay, maybe. It was popular, very popular for a while. But they were like, it's not current. We just want to do a sketch where we have this great idea for making fun of this novel. No one will get it, and that's all right.
So for you, it's more of like this. It's better for you for like a small group of people to like understand a very like niche joke or reference than it would be for like you to appeal to like a bigger audience. Is that kind of?
I think it's like you make the thing that you really want to make, even though it might be weird, and you're like, I'm not totally sure that this is going to work, and then you're often very surprised.
Okay.
By who does get it.
Yeah.
So would you say sketch comedy kind of is like, you don't have to be funny to be a sketch comedian, more like weird and quirky?
I think observational, maybe. Like you can be funny or you cannot be funny, but you don't have to think of yourself as a funny person. And often, like, I think the funniest sketches that we've done are the ones where, like, I don't know, there's one where I'm dressed as Andrew Volstead, like the guy who authored Prohibition. The sketch was about how we were not allowed to film in his house because the sketch we thought we could film in his house was actually not something that was true or reflected well on Andrew Volstead. And so it's just me in like this full wig and like full, like, I don't know, mustache, his little handlebar mustache. And I'm just sort of being like, all right, so here's why we were not allowed. And I'm just upset about it. And it's one of my favorite sketches, not because like I think I did great, but because the emotions in it were very real. And so as long as you can be real with whatever it is you make, it'll often wind up being funny.
Will we be wearing wigs? And that's kind of I heard what you said, but that's what I was.
You're just wig.
Yeah,
I have like I have too many wigs as a result of this show. I will not make you wear them for health and safety reasons.
Okay, that's great.
Good.
Appreciate
But you don't
that.
wear a wig, Jack?
No wigs.
No.
You're not sure you might look better as a ginger?
All right, nope.
Okay, now we have a Sky.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, God.
Wig Jack.
Yeah.
Now we can, so you work with the creative writing program, correct? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Obviously, in addition to this, I have a very serious gig as head of the visiting writers program, et cetera. So the creative writing program at SMSU has been around for decades. And what I think is so special about it is that we're like kind of the last stop before like Sioux Falls. We're the last stop before Mankato if you're going the other direction, or Morris if you're going north. They're like little islands of people who do all care about writing and creativity, right? And obviously there are people living throughout the region that do care about these things. But it's become kind of like a hub for people who have a lot of time to think because of where we are, which is like the big, vast, flat prairie kind of lends itself to creativity, I think. Anyway, there's a ton of really wonderfully talented students that we have in our in-person population, and as well as we have a really large online presence. So they study creative writing, they study literature, they obviously study sketch comedy because you can take this for credit for English. Yeah. What else do you want to know? I don't know. It's hard to describe the whole program.
What skills do you think like creative writing like students would need kind of in today's age, I guess, with like the digital age and everything?
I think like I tell them a lot, there isn't a fiction factory. You do not go to the fiction factory after you graduate, and I don't think I'd want to go there if there was such a place. We do not have like, there are obviously jobs in publishing, there are jobs in editing, there's ways to make money in the field, but an entry-level student might not like know those at first. But what they're really good at is forging their own way because of all the like independent thought and critical thinking abilities they picked up. And I think that's a really good skill for any student to have, where you're like, this didn't work, let me try another thing. Yeah.
So would you say that's the most important thing to take away from creative writing?
Well, obviously you can read and write really quickly,
Right.
and you can give people feedback in a way that maybe other people might not be able to do. The soft skill of being like, okay, I'm not going to tell you everything that's wrong with your short story. I'm going to tell you the things I think you should fix, but I'm going to leave out the other stuff. And that's kind of something a machine can't do.
Right.
So it makes us a little AI proof.
Is that something that you're worried about with AI, is that people are losing their creative?
Yeah. I don't worry about it with the creative writing students I have, actually, because they all kind of seem pretty motivated to persist elsewise. They're like, we don't want to outsource the good parts of us. I want the robot to do my dishes.
Right.
Right.
Invent that. Like, what are we doing?
Right? Like, can you do the laundry AI?
Yeah. Shoot,
That
you're
would be
right. I
more
never thought
helpful.
about it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once I'm done with college, I'm gonna need it to, do my laundry and my dishes for me. Right. So
Like, tell
makes
me the
sense.
weird tax things that I have coming
Right.
up that I forgot
yeah.
about.
Yeah,
Like,
these are great ideas. I like that.
yeah. But I think, we make art for reasons that aren't just consumption. It's a product, but it's also, it's more than that. It's like why we exist, really, is to show other people what's inside us. And so I think we're really stubborn too, and we're not going to let that go.
Good. That's some good characteristics to have, I think.
Yeah.
Especially in today's age, like we just talked about with AI and everything.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance like the creative writing and being a professor and sketch comedy and just your whole life in general, balancing everything to fit everything that you love in the time you have?
Frankly, sometimes I do not. I have gotten this question before. I fail. Or I'm like, I'm at home and I have been grading for 5 hours during the blizzard, and maybe I gave them too intensive notes. Okay. But other times, it's kind of by saying no to things where eventually you might realize, like, I don't have time for this thing, and you can let it go. Like, I'm not saving lives over here, right? Except maybe in like the ephemeral soul sense or whatever. But I'm not an EMT. If I don't answer an email, no one will wither away.
Right.
So there's that. And then it's also like taking meaningful breaks where you're not anything screen related. I read really voraciously for like 2 hours a night. And I ate lunch in the greenhouse today,
Nice.
staring at the plants, like nibbling.
Did you enjoy that? We had one of the professors who runs the greenhouse on a few weeks ago.
I love the greenhouse, especially now. It was like a little sad for a couple years, but
Now it's gotten really good.
it's gorgeous. So
What's your favorite sketch comedy show of all time?
you sent me this question and I was really just dying. Like, it really depends on the mood. If you want recommendations, I'm happy to give them. I love one called That Mitchell and Webb Look, which is by two British comedians, Robert Webb and David Mitchell. It has just a lot of my favorite sketches that I think about a lot or whose lines live in my head rent-free. Particularly, there's one that my college professor, who is a very erudite man, his name is Bradley Dean, leather patches, right? After we graduated, I went back to Morris to visit him. And he was like sitting at the restaurant and he was just trying to get his description of this sketch out at me. And he couldn't because he was crying, laughing too much. And just the image of Brad Dean and the old number one in Morris going, and then the robot like can't exist because it has no function and it tries to light itself on fire, but it can't because it can only tell the difference between cheese and gasoline. Anyway, so I don't think that's my favorite sketch, but I think I love the image of Brad Dean like sobbing as he told me. So,
What is your favorite sketch that you've written or done?
There's one of them that I'm not going to tell anybody here about. If it comes out, it comes out. So that is one of them. But my other favorite is a parody of Station 11, which is the novel about a bunch of Shakespearean actors traveling in the post-apocalyptic world. They perform Shakespeare plays.
Interesting.
So it was a beautiful show. Check it out if you're a film person. It's like gorgeously done. So we did a parody where instead of Shakespeare plays, they did Sex and the City episodes, because it was around the time that the reboot of Sex and the City was coming out. And it's not the best sketch ever, but it is so close to my heart because of all my friends are in it, and there's a lot of ridiculous lines that live in my head forever. So,
Could you give us a few of those lines?
yeah. So you know how Carrie Bradshaw always goes, and I couldn't help but wonder.
Yes.
The audience is just like in the background just crying because they know it's coming. And it's just like a close up at Maureen and Bob going, and I couldn't help but wonder. And like my husband put teardrops in his eyes and he's like crying in the snow. We also only had a day to film it, and it was like the sun was setting, and we're like, we gotta get it. My friend Alec has like a tutu made of garbage bags that were like tying around him ceremoniously. I loved it.
What would you say, I guess, is like the hardest part about like making people laugh, even maybe just in life and not just like through your sketches?
Yeah. I think sometimes like if you have an idea, then people get mad that they didn't have that idea or that they're not doing the thing and they want to do the thing. And then as a result, they get petty instead of helping. They kind of just go, well, you know, that was a little niche, but overall pretty good. And I'm like, oh God, Minnesotan backhanded compliments.
Right.
Just make a thing. Don't be petty. Like, so, but yeah, I don't know. It's not, I think it always makes life better.
Yeah.
So,
Who are some like writers that inspire you?
unfortunately, Garrison Keillor, like what he was doing for Minnesota, he would make up improvised stories every Sunday for like an hour. Well, it wasn't an hour, but when you're a child, it feels like an hour. And he would just grab the microphone and start talking about, and he would populate this little fictional world with all these people he created. I mean, what he did, he like honored them. Like people like Rural Murmah or whatever have